Hello and welcome to the 29th episode of Tailoring in Conversation. In this series, I'll be talking to tailors, business owners, cloth merchants, and other industry participants from all around the globe to gain a better insight into their worlds. My guest for today is Vitalii Chigvintsev. Vitalii owns a tailoring company called Sartorusi in Moscow, and in our conversation for today, we're going to be talking about Vitalii's background, the Russian tailoring scene, and some of its challenges. So let's go. Thank you for making the time. I'm very happy to talk to you. I've been eagerly looking forward to this, and I would like to welcome you and ask you how you're doing.
Well, I'm doing fine. By the way, the pleasure is all mine because it's great to see you again. It's great to see you doing good with Aquila. Love all of your posts about the work which is behind the scenes, basically, all the time, and you're showing it to your future customers and to your existing customers, etc. That is something you don't see too much on Instagram or in other social networks.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to share as much as we can with the world, and it tends to inspire some people, and the right people, which is good for us. I have a question. So when I was about how old was I? Between when I was 9 to around 14 years old, I had a lot of Russian friends around me, and there were kids from all different parts of the world, and amongst them were a lot of people from Russia, but also Russian-speaking countries like Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan. Now, my question to you is, if we go back in time, and we go back in time when you were 10, 11, and I was 10, 11, which one of my friends would you be?
Okay, that is a nice question. Well, I would be definitely the nerdy guy who is always studying, doing something, preparing to, I don't know, exams and everything, because I used to study pretty hard at school, so and I had a pretty good school, by the way.
Right, right. What did you study?
No, you see, that's I don't know how to actually say that in English. So in Russia, you have 10 classes from first class to 10th or 11th class, and you need to go. It's like an elementary school, and then it goes. I don't know how to say that in English. It's like before the university school, right? So
Right, right.
okay.
Like some preparing you for the bigger stages of life, let's say.
And you do not choose what to study, though. So you have all of the basic mathematics, informatics, Russian language, literature, history, biology, chemistry, physics, everything. So you have to study all of this stuff. And the school I used to study at, that was a really nice school in the city of Ijevsk. That is the city in Udmurt Republic. It's right in the middle of Russia. And it was a pretty strong school back then. And all of the teachers were so great about what they were doing. So I don't know, I'm really proud that I used to study at that school.
You don't hear that often, people don't often talk proudly about their schools. So
yeah,
that's a very good thing. Yeah.
That was the place I've got my English from. So, well, it's still pretty bad, obviously, but it's much better than I don't know, anyone from any other school in Ijevsk. So that's what I can definitely say.
Right, right. And what sort of topics or subjects were you personally interested in when you were younger?
Well, to be honest, that was physics, that was history, and that was English. So those were three three of my favorite subjects.
What made you curious about physics and history?
Well, I will answer about physics first, and then I will go to
Sure.
history.
Yeah.
Because the physics, I had a really great teacher. So she just inspired everybody to study physics, to do all of your homework, to do everything great. She just inspired, and all of the when we used to make how to say that in English. You know, like when you have when you study how light goes through the lens or something like that, and you have to make a laboratory work. I just don't know how
yes.
how to
practical experiments kind of thing.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
That's when we did practical experiments. That was absolutely amazing for me as a kid. So that's how I got interested in physics. And the history, that is just a hobby that I go with through all of the life, because I love historical books, historical novels, just everything about history. And by the way, there is a nice story about that, because we had something like a competition between schools in, I think that was 10th grade or something. So I was like 14 or 15 years old. And so New Year, that the 31st of December in Russia, New Year, we had a little party with classmates, and the 1st of January at 9, I was at school preparing for the competition again. So everybody there had hangover heads like that. I was something like that, yeah. So that was crazy. But we came there on the 1st of January just to study. That was cool.
How do you go from physics, history to tailoring? I mean, I know it's a big jump, but what inspired you to go towards that domain?
That is a hard question, to be honest. You see, I used to work. Okay, first of all, I have my. I think that is the same as master's degree, because that is something called specialist here in Russia. So you have a diploma. It's 5 years of university. It used to be before we changed to bachelor and master's system. And I was in the last year, which had a specialist in their diplomas. I studied at the State University of Management, Moscow, and I studied advertising. So it's a completely different sphere. And during that study, I started working, and I worked in many fashion retail brands. I used to work in giant fashion retailers like Inditex. It's Zara, Bershka, Pull&Bear, and everything. I used to work at smaller companies. I used to work in very small companies. So, I think there were lots of small events that brought me to tailoring. One of them was meeting a guy from London. He's not Paul, and he's now, I think he's an international training manager at Suit Supply. Something. So he one time he just told us a story how he became a training manager. So when he was 17, if I remember correctly, I just trying to recreate the story. When he was 17, he left his home because he had a little, I don't know, not a little, but I think it was a big deal for him. He had a fight with his dad, and he left his home, and he was thinking about what to do in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I love suits. I cannot make it, but I would like to try to sell one.
Yeah.
And so where do I go to sell suits? And he decided to go straight to Gibbs and Hawkes, several number. Okay, and they accepted him as a, I don't know, as a minor, I don't know how to say that, as a minor personal something like
salesman or
yes, minor salesman, right? It was something like that because he had basically no experience in everything.
I see.
And after a few years at Gibbs and Hawkes, he became a sales manager at Brioni.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how his career went. And I think that story was one of the main events that went me through to tailoring, because when I worked at fashion retail, even in premium stores in like 2014, there were no there. Okay, there were some bespoke tailors in Moscow, but it was like 2 or 3 really good bespoke tailors. Now the situation changes, and that's great. And I think that's really cool, because that's a business about the product, quality of the product, about everything, about how it fits, how it looks, how it's done. So that's great, because sometimes when I see some garments from the most luxurious brands all over the world, and they cost a fortune, but they poorly made, I don't know, it's just so depressing because you have such a great range of really cool and talented bespoke tailors. Why would just order something? Much more, so much more.
How did you, I think we're going to explore that in a moment. Before we get to that, I'd like to ask you, how did you go on from learning tailoring and then setting up your own company, which you are at now? How was that journey for you?
Okay, first of all, I never ended with the learning. So because tailoring is not a job you can come to university and learn it, because there's no such university here in Russia. There is no such. I think now there is no such such a diploma as a menswear suit maker or something. So there is even no such a diploma. You can get a basic education, like they will teach you how to work on the different machines, how to do different stitches, and maybe constructing patterns. Yeah, I think yes, constructing patterns is something you can get educated to.
Are these private courses, small workshops, or?
I mean, of course there are lots of private courses for now, but I'm talking about basic institutional education.
I see. Okay.
So my journey on the on the bespoke tailoring is, I think it's never ends. So that's, I mean, I started this business as a made-to-measure business. So I had no need to make a bespoke or by myself that time. I had a great manufacturer. I just do the fitting. I send an order and I get a really nice suit. And the bespoke, all of the bespoke, not as experiment but as a business, started not so long ago, something like a year and something.
Okay.
And started and developed so good because, as I said before, the situation changes. There are some really young and talented bespoke tailors. Why don't I give this work to them? Why do I send it to some European manufacturers?
Yeah,
that's it. And when I started to get the garments from those bespoke tailors, and when I saw the results and the difference between made to measure and bespoke, I was come on, what am I doing? What the hell? Why do I need it?
Yeah.
But
is it easy to? Sorry, continue. I'll ask you in a second.
To be honest, made to measure is a cool feature. It is first of all, one bespoke tailor cannot do lots of suits in 1 month. It's 2-3 suits 1 month, and they're done. That's fine. That's okay. Because all of the fittings, all of the changing the pattern and everything. Now we had a client, for example, which we did 3 extra fittings, I guess, because that guy had all of the parts of his pattern were different. So he had 2 different front parts, 2 different back parts. Everything is different. So he was completely asymmetrical, and that expands the process of making a suit, of course. And in made to measure, you just do the first fitting, send an order, and you can do this thing again tomorrow, and you can do this thing again tomorrow, and you can send, I don't know, 500 orders to a manufacturer, and they will give them to you. To your months. That is a great option. And to be fair, the only thing that bothers me about made to measure is really bad approach to making patterns. So when the pattern on a fitting suit is bad, probably the result would be bad too. Otherwise, you have to make a really long and annoying specification to the order, just to make it look good, to make it fit good and everything. And for now, for the big manufacturers, made-to-measure manufacturers, it don't matter how it fits on your client, because for them, you are the client. You paid the order, so their job is done. They don't care how it fits on the client, and that is the biggest issue about them.
Is it easy to set up a company in Russia? Is it an easy, approachable process that everyone can participate in?
Well, yes, it's pretty easy. You just pay all of the papers, you pay something to the state, something like, I don't know, maybe 150 euros. All of the payments, and that's it.
How long does it take usually if you want to register as a company?
I don't know, a couple of weeks maybe. So it's,
okay.
That's a pretty easy process.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Vitalii, one thing I'd like to explore with you and learn more about, perhaps in conversation with you, is what I would like to know is, at the moment in Russia, which types of craft are the most popular, the most well developed, and the most accessible for both people who want to learn to make that craft or to buy. If you just begin with like giving a few examples, I'm sure I'll have more questions about them.
What do you mean under the word craft? Because
So let's say any product that is handmade, for which you have to do an apprenticeship for, and mainly done by hand, whether it's something traditional unique to Russia or something more general like leather crafts, whichever you think is popular in Russia.
If we're talking about a handmade, well, I think that's jewelry or like stuff like this, because almost everybody can do that, and there are lots of successful mini brands where the designer itself makes all of the jewelries and just sell it on Instagram. I think that's the easiest thing that comes in mind to me.
What other things would you say? So you have jewelry, that's fairly popular. What sort of other crafts would you say are reasonably popular?
Well, I know a guy who makes extremely good handcrafted diaries and handcrafted versions of books and everything.
Right.
Absolutely amazing. But I'm not sure that it's easy to learn to do this stuff, because he's the only one I know. But he's doing great. So he's making really good money in this business, and the product itself is absolutely amazing.
So
everything.
Would you say there is a big demand in Russia for handmade products?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think the markets for handcrafted garments is not as big as obviously all of the market itself, but the problem with that, there are lots of issues here in Russia on the market which make these garments unpopular. For example, to our customers, sometimes if you make a garment one day longer than you said to the customer, it's gonna be a big deal. So it's gonna be a big problem, and customers sometimes don't care if it's made amazing, if it fits him really good. He cares about the date of finishing the garment much more than the garment itself.
Right. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. But, I think that's just because the market is pretty young.
Young?
Because you see, 10 years ago we had 2 or 3 bespoke tailors. If we're talking about really cool, good-looking bespoke, and now we have much more players on the market, and the customers just checking. And of course, when you're a private bespoke label with 2 or 3 bespoke tailors, or maybe bespoke tailor yourself, and you work for yourself, there is no when the guy buys at Loro Piana, he believes in Loro Piana. He knows that Loro Piana wouldn't fail him. But when the guy buys from another guy who is a bespoke tailor, and he never tried his service before, and and the bespoke tailor says to him that we're gonna take a bit longer to make a garment. Of course, negative emotion which comes next. That's probably.
Who would you say are most type? What sort of clients do you have most of the time in Russia when it comes to bespoke clothing? Or do you get like a young clientele? Is it usually older people? Are they people from a specific profession? What sort of spectrum do you cover, or do you know of other tailors who are covering when it comes to bespoke?
Okay, I know that the portrait of a customer is different for example, for me, or let's say there is a really good bespoke tailor. His name is Ramil Khalikov. He used to work in New York at Dunhill Tailors. So now he has his own company. And I definitely know that my portrait of a customer is much younger than his. He says about himself that he's a Brioni, a bit more expensive Brioni, but Brioni for his guests. All right.
Yeah.
And that's good for him. But to me, I just personally prefer to work with younger customers, and our customers is like from 25 to 34. He's a young guy, and he sometimes those guys are even have the same accounts on Instagram when they take their inspiration from them with us, and that's how the work goes the best, because they see the picture, they love it. We see this picture, we absolutely love it, and we make a garment for them.
And would you say that most of them find the tailors that they go to on social media, or do they go to tailors more based on recommendation, or their friends, or people who they see, or how is the dynamics in that regard?
Okay. First of all, of course, there's nothing better than the personal recommendation, because if you've done something for your guest and he's absolutely loving it, he will tell about this garment to his friends. His friends will show up, and that is the easiest and the cheapest way to get a client. Another way to get a client is advertising. It's in social media, but sometimes let's say so. Sometimes you get the customers you actually don't need when you use advertising on social media. And what I mean is that sometimes, don't get me wrong, I love all of my guests, but if we are talking about a bespoke, that's a pretty expensive product. Sometimes during the advertising, you will get a guy who's getting married, and that is his first suit. Never tried a ready-to-wear. He never tried a to-measure suit. His first step is a bespoke, and he has something like 3 weeks before his wedding. His suit on his wedding day.
Yeah.
And he has a picture in his mind, and his wife has a picture in his mind, and his mom, who sometimes pays for the suit, because that's how just tradition goes. Parents usually pay for their son's suit for the wedding. That's totally fine. And his mom has different picture in her head, and his dad has a different picture in his head, and all four of them would be disappointed with the suit, no matter how
Mm-hmm.
good the job.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, for me, that is not the customer I would like to.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, we can make a wedding suit, but
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean.
Yeah. It seems to be the case that if too many people are involved in the creation process, inevitably most of them will be disappointed if if they all have their own vision. Now, my question is, would you say that most of your clients come to you for what you make specifically, or do they come to you because they they happen to need a suit and they don't know who to go to, or they research and you're one of the tailors that perhaps shows up most, or how does that dynamic kind of like go about?
Uh, it is a pretty hard question.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to say that someone's showing up to get the unique trousers we make, the
Mm-hmm.
unique jackets we make in a specific way of cutting, of making a pattern. But
Mm-hmm.
usually that's not true. Usually,
Mm-hmm.
the guy just wants a suit,
Mm-hmm.
and usually it is he just saw the advertising, and uh, that is why I have very strict rules.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because we don't do shoulder pads, we don't do
Mm-hmm.
trousers without pleats and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So that's my way to show the the lines of a perfect suit, which is perfect for me, and
Mm-hmm.
I would like to sell to
Mm-hmm.
my customer.
I see.
Because
I see.
when there is no option to make it wrong, for me wrong, all right, there is no such option, so the product is great anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've from the Russian friends that I have, a lot of them talk to me about how art schools were very important in Russia, and most of them went through a very thorough process of developing artistic skills like drawing or sculpting and things like that. Do you think that in Russia at the moment there is a special emphasis on art and the development of artists in the future? Um, do you sense that in society there, or with people around you who you know? What sort of a vibes do you get around that?
That is this question is so wide because that is absolutely true about art schools.
Mm-hmm.
I know many people who had art schools during their mid school or elementary school or everything, and it was great for them.
Mm-hmm.
Someone developed good drawing skills, someone something else, but musical talents, everything.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I think that depends on the region, because
Uh-huh.
because first of all we have St. Petersburg,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the most beautiful city ever made by a human being, and of course most of my friends who were interested in studying music, arts, literature, everything, they went to St. Petersburg.
Mm-hmm.
And if we talk about arts, that is the most definitely the best city in Russia
Mm-hmm.
to study or to evolve like an artist in
Mm-hmm.
any way. But if we're talking, for example, about music,
Mm-hmm.
let's make it a bit more specific. If we talk about rap music,
Mm-hmm.
do you know something about Kazakhstan rap?
I had no idea that there was a big scene, if that's where you were going to, in Kazakhstan.
It is. It is an extremely big and extremely talented scene with
Mm-hmm.
incredible amount of rappers right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
for most people I talk to, Kazakhstan rap is much uh, better and much bigger now than the Russian one. But
And they rap in Russian, obviously.
sometimes they do,
Okay.
sometimes they rap in their own language, but that's fine. You can listen to that, and
Mm-hmm.
that still would be really good.
Do you know
Uh, s-
why that's the case?
uh, well, I tried to understand that,
Mm-hmm.
and the answers I've got were something like, you see, there are some problems, some political and social problems in Kazakhstan,
Mm-hmm.
and rap is a culture about tough times,
Yeah.
about tough life. And when
Mm-hmm.
life is tougher, rap is getting better.
Yeah.
So that was the case for most guys
Mm-hmm.
I tried to talk to about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's get back to the question about the arts and the artists. Uh, so it really depends on the region, because Kazakhstan, for example, mostly Russian-speaking country.
Mm-hmm.
They do speak Russian, and that's great. And it happened that there are lots of very talented singers, rappers, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Russia, the best city to evolve in arts definitely St. Petersburg.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that are there specific regions within Russia where tailoring is more popular than other regions, for example, or you have more clients from a specific region on average?
Uh, I cannot say such thing about the clients, but I think southern parts of Russia
Mm-hmm.
are a bit better in tailoring, just because, for example, in Azerbaijan,
Mm-hmm.
there are lots of great tailors.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Tailoring school is, I think it's doing really good.
Mm-hmm.
They had their tailoring school during the Soviet Union. I don't know how and I don't know why, but they never lost this line, this legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, I heard someday that Baku is the third city in the world where you can make a perfect suit. The first two are London and Naples.
Really?
Yeah, and Baku is the third one. And
Mm-hmm.
when I've been there on a vacation, I think 3 years ago or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen a big store with the Vitalii Barberis canonical logo on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's just I don't know, main street where people just walking. So
Mm-hmm.
there were like Starbucks,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Zara or something, McDonald's, and then Vitalii Barberis canonical. So
Mm-hmm.
you can come and buy fabric to make
Mm-hmm.
a. How could that be? And you can never see such thing here in Russia. There are some stores which sell fabrics, but not as specific and not under the good Italian brand. It's,
Mm-hmm.
that's just multi brands which sell you the stocks of the fabrics.
Mm-hmm. How do people look at tailors in Russia in general? For example, I remember when I was just starting my apprenticeship, uh, I think it was about a year or so that I was doing my apprenticeship, and then I went on holiday to Iran, and everyone who asked me what I did in London, as soon as I said I'm doing tailoring, they would laugh at me. They would be like, "You are in London. What are you doing a tailor?" And I understand why they thought that way, because in Iran, tailors are not really seen, or tailoring in general is not really seen nowadays as like a very respectable job or something. You know, they see it as, oh yeah, that's the guy who does just alterations or whatsoever. They don't tend to see it as like something that caters to a lifestyle. How's the scenario looking like in Russia? Do people respect tailors, or do they see them? How is that?
It depends. If we're talking about a lady which makes who makes alterations, well, probably no. Unfortunately, probably no. If we're talking about a bespoke tailor, they do respect because that's it's much more much harder to create a garment from scratch than to make alterations. And of course, sometimes when you do, like, I don't know, when you change the length of a trousers in 15 minutes and you get you do those alterations all day long, exhausting, I know that. And I do respect all the guys who do alterations, but for the customers, that's just two different worlds. And by the way, I tried to hire a lady who did just the alterations. And I tried to hire and educate her how to make a bespoke garment. That was a sad experience, by the way, because when she saw what are we doing, she was like, so you're making it like in history movie, all right? But now it's much we can do it much easier. Just go get some fusing. I will show you. That was like this.
I see. How about younger people? Are there a lot of young people interested in tailoring in Russia? Do you see more younger people? For some reason, if I'm on Instagram, I tend to follow a lot of tailors from different countries, but for some reason, I see more leather work from Russia than I see tailoring, for example. And I don't know if this is because of Instagram just not showing me the tailors in Russia, but is it so that, for example, other crafts, like leather crafts, for example, or design or whatsoever, is more popular in comparison to tailoring?
I think that's where you can make much more money. So making a, I don't know, leather jacket will get you much more money in every garment you make. And it's, I'm not sure, but I suppose that it's a bit easier to make a leather jacket than the jacket, the jacket of a two-pieces suit. So that's why you see much more leather crafts. But the situation changes. So there are more and more young tailors at the market, and that's good.
Okay. Something else I'd like to kind of like explore with you, which is, how is the education side of tailoring in Russia? I know in London we have a few universities, design schools teaching tailoring now. There are, I think, a lot of individuals who are teaching, doing private sessions and one-on-one teaching and stuff like that. And more workshops are kind of like popping up. How is the situation in Moscow and in the rest of Russia?
There are this market is pretty young too, but there are some players on it, and I do wait, for example, of the courses which Ramil Khalikov will provide. He's preparing now all of the information in his head, and he's gonna try to make a group, a first test group for students to make them bespoke tailors. And so that's the most, the best way to educate yourself here in Russia is to go to a workshop, right? To find a good workshop and to become a part of their system and to see how they do all of the operations. Because there is no such university where you can go and where you end up as a bespoke tailor.
Why do you think that is the case, that there isn't any sort of formal education for tailoring? Is it so that there is very little demand for tailoring in Russia, or what do you think is? Because I mean, I can imagine that in the Soviet era you would have a lot of military uniforms and you would have a lot of tailoring back then, and I find it difficult to think that you wouldn't have a continuation of the tailors from that era into the new generation, or am I thinking wrong?
Yeah, but have you ever seen the military garments? Because we had to we had a really nice order maybe a year and a half ago. We had an order from a judge to make him his robe. I don't know how to call that. Because the robes they were provided with were made of I don't know, something synthetic, and there were jokes like under this robe there is nothing on the judge, and those jokes were not the jokes, because you cannot sit and make decisions during the trial when you're under this synthetic stuff. Not breathable at all. That is like a tent. This is like a tent.
It's always going to result in bad judgment.
Of course, that is probably the point. Yes. So talking about the military uniform, those are made. Those are like made to order, and those are like fused jackets with pretty rough fusing, with pretty rough fabric and everything. And, but you see, let me show you. Okay, 1 second.
Sure.
Great, I came here today wearing my overcoat. So this is the overcoat. I don't know if it's visible for you. Okay, that is the overcoat we've made with a book written by a Russian bespoke tailor in Russian Empire. Right. And you see the lines. So it's obviously that's just modern codes. you can.
Yes.
And, the problem is I haven't seen such thing in times of Soviet Union, and I don't know why we lost it, because this overcoat looks absolutely amazing, and that it took us only one fitting to make it. So we just did the body measurements, and then we constructed the pattern like it was in a book. It was perfect. We missed the length of the arms because never mind, because we had no fabric to be honest. Well, whatsoever. And if I remember correctly, let me check. No, because I had a couple of jackets where I had to make the inside part made of two parts of a fabric because I had not enough fabric.
I see. Yeah.
Those are garments for me, so never mind.
Sure. I mean, we all have that, man.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, a couple of days ago, I had a meeting, and I was. Let me show you again. Sorry, that is really okay. One more second, please. All right, I found it. So, I had a meeting, and I wore this nice flannel double-breasted jacket. I had lots of compliments about it. But the point is, the lining of a jacket was so destructed by time that I had to remove it to change it.
Yeah.
And I had no time that exact day, to change, to make to find a jacket for myself because I had a meeting.
Yeah.
All right, so I came to the meeting like this.
You wore.
So
You wore the jacket without a lining.
yes. So this was funny though. Yeah. But no one noticed. Thank God.
No. I think I've had a similar experience. I think when I was doing, there was this competition called the Golden Shears, and I had to make a suit for myself to wear on that day, and I was so busy, and it was so difficult for me to make that suit. It was like the second suit I had ever made, and I didn't have enough time. And so when I got there, I was still there with all the bastings in the lining, and nothing was kind of like properly sewed, but it looked like a jacket. I had no buttons, nothing. I was just wearing it. But it's funny when you have those experiences. They're quite fun. What would you say that if you could change, let's say 1, 2, or 3 things, suppose you had all the power in the world and all the money, and you wanted to do something for the Russian tailoring industry, what would the things be that you would see as priorities?
Okay, first of all, a great production for the fabrics, for the linings, for the buttons, for all the canvases, for every part of a bespoke here in Russia is a struggle to find. So you want a gimp to make a buttonholes, you need to order that from Holland and Sherry. You cannot buy it here. You need a canvas. You need to order that from Germany, from Italy. Never mind, you will have to order that because when it comes to Russian stores, you will find something not appropriate for that, for this kind of a product. and that is a really big problem. Even the we tried to find a silk Gutermann for top stitching,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems that Gutermann won't sell silk to Russian region anymore. So
Why is that?
I don't know. They changed it to a polyester. They called a top stitching,
Mm-hmm.
but it fits worse than silk. Obviously, that's I don't know why. So we have to order even this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another thing to be changed is again, if we are not producing the fabrics, we need to make a process of ordering and getting those fabrics here in Russia easier and cheaper, because when the fabric comes to our customs, need to pay something like 40% of a price.
Wow.
This fabric just come in. Yeah.
That's very
And
expensive.
yes, it is. And also you need to, okay, if we are talking about bespoke and made to measure, we don't need to do that. But if you are, for example, ready to wear production, if you buy a fabric from Europe, you need to pay 40% of the invoice, and then you need to make a certification for this exact fabric. It says that it's 100% wool or 90% wool with cashmere and everything, and the width is 1.5 meters, the length is, I don't know, 60 meters and everything. And this certificate takes something like 2 weeks to be done.
Right.
And you have to pay for the customs keeping your fabric during this 2 weeks period. And you need to pay for that exact certificate. It's not a big sum of money, but if you have something like 50 articles of you'll have to make 50 certificates. That's gonna be a big deal. So the second thing is some improvements of the law of making a garment, because today it is almost impossible to make garments, and it's becoming harder to create garments than easier, because now if you're making something of leather or using a fur, you need to make another certification, and a specific QR code inside of every leather jacket. I think now it's for every jacket you make. You need to have a specific QR code inside and everything.
Okay, so we have fabric production within Russia. That would
Fabric,
be very
fabric buttons, canvases, everything for this.
trimmings, yeah, and then easier import regulations.
Much easier import, right? And the third one is the process of educating new bespoke tailors, because it should be institutional. It's institutional education. It should be it should be a profession you can get when you go to
Yeah, it's a funny thing, because I don't know how it's gonna develop in London, but it seems that worldwide tailoring is not something that is really seen as a serious education. I mean, there are some good reasons for it probably, but it does have the potential to be a serious education. I believe so. There's a lot more involved with tailoring than just sewing and making patterns. So we'll see how that develops. Okay, are you ready for a speed round, my friend?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I have a few words. I'll give them to you, and you tell me the first thing that comes up your mind in one word if you can, okay?
I will try.
All right, so let's see. Favorite writer?
John Tolkien.
John Tolkien. St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg, it's cold and windy, and you
Cold
have
and
to wear
windy.
a turtleneck. And the third one is
Okay. Alterations.
boring. Boring.
Military clothing.
Fused.
Most influential person.
Most influential person.
Yeah, who influenced you the most?
Well, it's a pretty hard one. Can I get extra time for this one?
Sure, sure.
Let me think. Man, I don't know. I think there are three persons which inspired me the most for last, I don't know, maybe 5 years of my life. So the first one is Leonid Parfenov. He is a Russian journalist. He created a nice format of historical show where he, for example, today is the year 1956, and he goes with the news which were during the year 1956, and that's really nice, entertaining format. And Leonid is also a really nice person to watch on YouTube. To everything he does, I see it, and I think about him that he's a true humanitarian. Because here in Russia, it is always when someone says I'm humanitarian, it means that I'm bad at math. But for me, it's like, come on, humanitarian is much a bigger word. And if we're talking about humanitarians, that's the number one for me. The second guy is Russian economist Sergei Guriev, who is also a nice, a really good scientist. He now works, if I'm not wrong, he now works in France. Because he had to leave because of his political views. But anyway, he explains some serious economical stuff so easily, and then that you have no doubt he understands every single part of it. Because someone can explain to you something serious in easy words, that means he's a true professional. That's good. And the third one, I was going to say I was going to say Jordan Peterson, who is a Canadian sociologist, because again, that is how someone who's a specialist in sociology or any other science which is about people, that is how those guys should look like in my head, because everything he explains, like he's got a map in his mind, and everything is structured and well prepared and everything. So those.
Okay. Tailoring schools.
Tailoring school, expensive.
Expensive. Made to measure.
Really nice feature.
Okay. Ready to wear.
Much better business. If we're talking about money, of course. Well, I used to work in ready to wear, and I know that when you make a big collection of something, you can probably make, for example, you can make trousers for $25, and you can sell those trousers for like $1,000, and it will be price on the market. That's something you cannot do as a bespoke tailor.
Yeah. Okay, I have a few more. So, Savile Row.
One of the best places in the world to get a perfect suit.
And Vitalii.
Vitalii. I think I will go straight with the translation, because this name translates from I think from Latin as a person who loves life, and that this is something I would like to become in my life, because sometimes I just don't have enough free time to enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was it, my friend. Thank you for the time you made, and I hope to speak to you soon again.
Thanks a lot. That was a pleasure, as always. It was really great to see you again. So I'll be ready for a new tailoring conversation anytime.
Likewise. And that was Vitalii. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation. And if you'd like to see more from Vitalii, you can follow the links in the description of this video to his Instagram page. If you like our content and you're looking forward to what we're about to give to the worldwide tailoring industry, then please subscribe to support us, and I look forward to see you again in the next episode. Until then, bye-bye.